Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Tasty Tidbits podcast. Get ready to receive rich, well-seasoned, and tasteful tidbits to transform your life. Each week, Dr. Tiffany comes to you with inspirational encouragement and thought-provoking interviews to help revolutionize your walk with God. Are you hungry for more of His presence? Then get ready. And now, your host, author, intuitive life coach, and pastor, Dr. Tiffany Watkins.
Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Tasty Tidbits. I am your host, Dr. Tiffany Watkins, and I'm so excited to have you here on another episode. And I'm so excited to have a special guest that's going to be with us today. And her name is Kabaale, and we're going to talk about some information that I think the listeners that you would truly enjoy. But I'm going to let you know a little bit more about her before we get started. And so Carol, she was following a traditional path in school, the university, and a steady job in hospitality. But after the years passed, she missed the important family moments, and she constantly felt, like just another number in a corporate machine. She realized that she wanted more than just the weekends off and decided to start her own business. She is now a Meta-certified Ads Strategist who helps online business coaches grow their impact through purpose-driven Facebook campaigns. And with over 8 years of experience, Carol specializes in attracting high-quality leads and drive measurable results. She's passionate about sharing actionable strategies that empower coaches to elevate their online presence and boost their revenue. So thank you, Carol, for being a part of the podcast today. How are you?
Thank you, Tiffany, for having me. I am excited to be here. Really, I am.
And we are so excited to have you today. And, today we are talking about, having a successful business. And before we get started, let the listeners know what inspired you to leave the corporate world and start your own business.
Well, honestly, it all kind of hit, that movie moment. Let's take it back, Tiffany. That movie moment where your whole life flashes in front of you and you're like, do, and you see everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly. So my high school sweetheart, who is now my husband, he proposed, and I swear it was like the powers that be were like, girl, if you stay on this path, this is what your life is going to be like. And I was like, no, this cannot be it. This cannot be it. Because it really felt like all the freedom that I wanted, I was only going to get when, later in life. When I was in my 50s or 60s, the income I wanted, the freedom in terms of how many leave days and how many days I can take off a year. I just felt like you only got that when you were older. And as someone who was in my 20s, I was like, I don't want to wait. And I know it sounds weird, but I was like, I know there has to be more. There has to be a way that I can do this now. There has to be a way that I can live sort of in my purpose now. And don't get me wrong, I loved all the people I worked with. I always say the humans there at my corporate job, they were probably the reason why I stayed so long. But the actual job itself, oh, that's another story. I was burnt out. I was tired. It was a lot. And I was a very people-pleasing kind of person. So I would just say yes to absolutely everything. So it was very draining. And that's when I knew I just had to start something else or go on another career path. I actually thought it would be another corporate job, just less stressful. But it turns out, no, entrepreneurship has even more freedom. So I chose that.
And that sounds wonderful. And earlier when I was reading to the listeners, a little bit about you, what would you say, what advice could you give someone who's listening that may be in the same situation you were in, and they feel like they are in the numbers game and in the corporate machine, but they're considering starting their own business or their coaching business? What advice would you give to someone listening today?
Do it. Just do it. And I know it sounds so scary, but do it and tell no one. Move in silence, because that's something that I promise you I did. I didn't tell anybody. One day I just quit my job. And because now I had a fiance, I decided I was going to be grown, and I moved in with him. And I was like, no, I'm just going to leave my house. I'm going to move here with my fiance. And and I just he was like, hey, don't you have work? Like he kept asking me. And I was like, no, we're like working online. They're just making me do a course. This was even before COVID. So the lies were deep. But I knew that if I told anyone in my family or even him, like, no, I think I'm going to start my own business, they would have talked me out of it. They would have been like, you don't have a plan. What is going to be here? What's the backup? What's this? There were going to be too many questions that, frankly, I honestly didn't have the answer for. What I knew is that I was great at marketing. What I knew is that I wanted to serve. And what I knew is that I loved working with people. Now, how I was going to make a business out of that, I didn't know, but I was going to figure it out. And I knew that if anybody else said something to me, I would have doubted myself and I would have never started. So I just kept quiet. I put my head down. I got on with it. And once, I think it was like 2 months into it, my husband, he's quite smart. He was like, did you quit? And I was like, yes. It's like, girl, because you're just here at home all the time. I'm like, I quit. And then I told him the truth. And he was actually very supportive. I think the people who took it the worst were my parents, who were like, we just put you through this whole university experience for you to tell me you're going to be an entrepreneur. They were not having it. But by then I was already sort of successful. I was matching my income. So I was like, guys, you have nothing to worry about. I'm fine.
Wow, wow. And that can be a scary thing, just stepping out, you know, on faith, stepping out, saying, I'm going to start this thing, but you have to believe in yourself. And I think something key that you said was that you don't let a lot of people know what you're doing. Because when I left my job, my mother knew about it, and she was like, and I had a friend that I mentioned to, and she was like, well, I'm scared for you. What are you gonna do? And so then you have that extra doubt that comes in and that you have to deal with. And so sometimes when you feel in your heart that there's something that you have to do, like you said, it's just as simple as doing it. And if you know that that's a passion, that's something that you have that you've been wanting to do, to know that you're able to do that. And now, because you're doing that, Carol, you're helping so many people now, had you not moved and stepped
Yes.
out to do what you were called to do.
No, I honestly, when they say you're living in purpose, I really do believe that because
Mm-hmm.
I get to help such amazing women and we have a lot of fun and we get to like serve in our own way and they get to coach and teach people and I get to like bring them to the right people. It's a little party. I love it. Like I feel so much in purpose right now and I love it. And I love it. I wish everybody could experience this. I really do.
Yes, yes. So now, how do you balance running a thriving agency while making time for your family life and your personal life?
Um, Honestly, is a simple answer is boundaries. And it's
Mhm.
one that was hard to learn because as I mentioned in the beginning, I was a big people pleaser. I was like, yes, 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 we can do it. But I quickly learned that saying yes to everything and not being able to give everything 100% of my time was actually a disservice to the person who asked for my help or who
Mm-hmm.
needed something from me. So when I understood that finally, I was like, okay, it's okay for me to say no. In fact, I'm actually doing them a service by saying, hey, I can't actually help you with that. I need to, refer you to somebody else, or I can be like, I really don't know anybody who can help you and turn business away. And in terms of family life, I just have very strict boundaries. After certain times, I don't look at my phone. I don't even have notifications turned on my phone for certain apps. I'm like, you will not disturb me. And on a weekend, I do not answer messages unless it's an emergency. Like I want to see flames, I want to see a meteor. Heck, I want to see like the second coming. Then you don't disturb me because it's really that important to me. Like my time with my husband, he works full time, so he only gets the weekend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
That's
because he only gets weekends, I really want to spend that time with him. I want to be there for him and I want to make it extra special. So, no, you can't. You know what? I had a client once before I had boundaries who phoned me on a Saturday to ask me, do I like the shade of orange?
oh
Tiffany, do I like the
no,
shade of orange?
no.
No, no, that is not an emergency. I do not need to be speaking to you on a weekend about that. No, ma'am, you can wait.
Exactly. Wow, wow. And that's so important, that we build boundaries. And I'll share that with you a little bit. I was just talking with
Mm.
my sister, and she's in Japan right now, but I was talking to her and I was like, oh my gosh, my schedule is so busy, and so I tried to, go a plan ahead on my calendar to plan some me time, and all of a sudden you see my calendar would start to fill back up. And I said, I have got to stop that because like you said earlier, you can only give if you're only giving out of what you have. And if you're giving out of your tiredness or giving out of your busyness, you can't give that what you need to give most to the people that you serve. And so it's so
Yes.
important that we hold those boundaries and stick to it. Even with my coaching, I share with some of the clients that, you plan your me time in, because when someone
Yes.
calls and say, are you busy? Yes, I'm busy because I have something scheduled that day. And that's telling the truth. You have yourself scheduled for the day. And it's so
Yeah.
important that we schedule ourselves. Do you agree with that, Carol?
100%. I'm a big fan. Like, I don't even really like working on a Friday. I call it like my filling my cup day. And like, I literally try and do like, I try and work like in the morning, and then the afternoon, I do some kind of self-care. Like, I'll go and then like self-care doesn't always have to mean something expensive. Because someone
Mm-hmm.
said to me the other day, Carol, how do you have time to go to a massage every day? I was like, I don't go for a massage every Friday. I mean, I've got money, but I don't have every Friday massage money, you know?
Right, right.
So, I'm like, self-care can be like just sitting in my garden, reading my Kindle, having some fun. Self-care looks very different, but I need to have that moment. And you know what? It's not only for your business, to how you serve, it's also for your life and for your family. Because I think
Mm-hmm.
it ultimately makes me a better wife when I'm more present, where I'm happier. And it just makes me a better human being to everybody else who gets to meet me. Because you don't want to see me when I'm on zero. It's bad. It's very bad.
Yes, yes, and that is so important that we take care of ourselves. So let the listeners know just a little bit right here. We're just going to take a little shift here and let them know
Yeah.
actually what you do with your business and how you help coaches.
So I have an agency and we primarily focus on Facebook ads. So that's Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp ads. And what we do is we take a holistic approach to running ads. So what that means is we run ads for people so that, when you're scrolling and you see it says sponsored posts, that's what we
Mm-hmm.
do. We create those and we create the graphics, the captions. We work with people to see what is the best offer to put together. What is your objective? What do you want to get out of the campaign? And then we go beyond that. Now, most agencies stop there. They're like, okay, here's your information, here's your data, everything else is not my responsibility. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. See, a customer journey is kind of like a slide, right? You start
Mm-hmm.
at the top, and as you go down, you slide, right? But sometimes what I've noticed is people have sort of a slide. So there's like gaps in there, right? And
Mm-hmm.
with those gaps, it means maybe your emails aren't great. Maybe your landing page isn't great. Maybe your DM funnels aren't great. So, like when people have conversations with you via chat or like something like that. And that's where I fill in because I can bring people to you. Like I just take like a magnifying glass because that's really what ads are. They just magnify and amplify your business. And then once the people are there, it's going to be a nice journey. You want to continue to get them to buy or to get them to your objective. So I also make sure that like the landing pages are okay or your website looks okay, the emails that they're receiving are effective. If you are having events, are they well planned? Is it easy for someone to assess them? So I really look at all your assets, which is funny because that's sort of what I used to do in my corporate job. I used to do like business development. So that's kind of like the approach I take with my company now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And what would be the best advice you could give someone that's starting out with Facebook ads, that's on a small budget? What is the best way to do that?
I would say find a budget, right? So I would say if you have a small budget, commit to something like maybe like $300. Like that's probably, you can even get away with like 150, but then you'd have to like maybe do it for like 2 weeks. And the idea here is to do like $10 a day, right? But
Mm-hmm.
also to be realistic with your budget, right? If you are only spending $10 a day, you're going to get an ad that's probably, if you can imagine, the size of a cell phone screen. So it's going to be quite small. But people can still see a cell phone screen. I mean, we look at our cell phones all the time. So it can be effective. And if you're spending $100 a day or $500 a day, your ad is going to be like a billboard. It's going to be big. So, of course, a bigger budget is going to attract more people. You're going to see results faster. But it doesn't mean with a smaller budget, you won't be seen. You just have to adjust your expectations. I also encourage people to sort of set a baseline of what they want. So if you want to capture emails, right? I'm going to use baby numbers because it's like late in my day. But if you want to capture emails, right? And like to get one email, you have to spend $1 and you're spending $10 every day. At the end of the day, you'll have 10 emails because they each cost you $1. But if the email costs you $5 to get, you'll only get two. This is where I ask my clients, hey, how good are you at sales? How good are you at closing? Because if I bring you two people and you're able to close them, you don't need 10.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So
yes.
like if I just bring you two and you're happy, then you've already made your ROI. But if you're not great at sales or you don't have a great sales procedure, you will need 10, you will need 20, you will need 100, you'll need more people. So that's also comes into play. So it is possible to run ads on a really small budget. You just have to adjust your expectations and don't give up too quickly. Running ads is not gambling, guys. I don't like, there's this theory that's happening here where people they're like, Carol, but I invested $100 and I got nothing. And I'm like, yeah, you go to the gym once and you don't get a six pack. Doesn't work like that. I'm sorry. But if it
Right.
did, I need to sign up to that gym. Like, please, please, I'm enrolling tomorrow. Okay. Ads is really about testing. It's about optimizing and figuring out what worked, what didn't work, and tweaking it until you get a viable option. So, like I said before, if you know you need 10 people, how can I manipulate the numbers to get to that point?
And that's where you come in, right, Carol?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, so that's where I come in. I do the testing for you. I fiddle with the things. We try different offers and different things. The other thing I'll say is like a lot of people, of course, ROI or getting your money back is important, but it shouldn't be the first thing you lead with when running ads. For me, I have a three-step system. One is to always stay top of mind. So do a lot of retargeting campaigns. That's just making sure the people who are your followers are actually seeing your content. Like, think about it this way, Tiffany. Like, you create all this content, even this podcast that we're on right now, right? And you put it into the algorithm and you're subject to that algorithm. You have no control who sees it. It's up to the algorithm gods, as I like to call them, to, decide who gets to see your content. But even if you took $10, you have control over who gets to see that little phone screen. And that could be more powerful than relying on this algorithm because those strategic people who saw it will like, comment, share. It will actually be valuable. And the algorithm will be like, that's a good piece of content. Let me organically show it to more people. So in a way, it really does keep doing like a ripple effect. So that would be the first kind of ad that I run. The second one would be nurturing. I give you something, you give me something, right? We know that one is kind of like a lead magnet. Like if you give me something of value, I will give you something of value in my email. So that's the second one. I really encourage all my clients to do this one. The big reason I encourage it is because all these platforms they're not our land. We don't own this. I find it very fascinating when people say, oh, I have 10,000 followers. And I'm like, okay, that's great. How many people do you have on an email list? Oh, I don't have an email list. Do you know how scary that is, Tiffany? Like, you do not have anything. If this goes away tomorrow, you have nothing.
Right.
You have
Right.
absolutely nothing. How do you start again? For example, I was hacked 2 years ago, and I had that Facebook since 2013. It's the Facebook I met my husband on, and it's gone. It's gone. Those guys did whatever they did, and it is
Oh my goodness.
there is no way of getting it back. I had over 5,000 friends. I mean, everything. My life was on there, and it's gone. But I had an email list because, I'm a business owner. So when it left, I just told my email list, hey guys, this happened. This is my new profile. Please go follow me. Nothing changed. It was like, okay, here we go. Had I had no email list, I probably would have been like, oh my gosh, what was that lady's name? What was that person's name? Like, it's so scary. And the last one, of course, is sales. Now, sales is obviously the one everybody wants. I know, I know. But think about it this way, right? You don't meet someone at a bar and you're like, please marry me. You go up to this person, you get to know them, you go on a couple of dates, and then you ask them to marry you. Same thing with a sale. Unless it's like an impulsive buy and you're just like, oh my gosh, that's so cheap, or oh my gosh, I was actually looking for that. No one's really going to buy just because you show them an ad. They're going to think about it and think about it. So therefore, this is why I think it's important to run the first two ads first so you can warm them up and then present them with a sale.
And also too, Carol, it's important. I think, I'm sure that's what you do. You talk with your clients and you find out and you go over what is a strategic plan, in order to find out what would be most effective, like you said earlier, for your particular business. Now, I know you said you do the ads for specifically for coaches. Do you do any other ones for people other than coaches, or you specifically that's your niche, what you focus on?
So coaches are my favorite niche, but I would say an online service business is okay. We've worked with that as well. And like you said, it depends what season they're in. So if you're in a season of like awareness, or you just want to make sure you have a smaller budget, you just want to be top of mind, then we work on that. And based on the season that you're in is the campaign that or the plan that we'll pull together for you.
So how important would you say that it is, especially for someone starting out in their coaching business? Because being a coach, you start out in your niche, whether you're good at, and once you decide that you're ready to make the money, you're ready to get more clients. How effective have you seen for those that are starting out that is for them?
I would say it's really effective. It's an easy way, especially like if you have like a smaller budget, like $300, and you're like
Mm-hmm.
just spending $10 a day. It's a really easy way to test if something's going to work or not, especially in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
think back at like when I started, I used to test in Facebook groups organically. I used to be like, okay, let's try this out. And like on the promo day of a group, I would like post it and be like, oh, did someone like it? Did someone not like it? Oh, let me try it again. But that takes time.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with running an ad, because you're testing with money, you get results a lot faster. You get data a lot faster. So if you're okay with that, to know that like, should I do this or not? It's a quick way to validate an offer.
Great advice. So, what advice would you give to someone who's struggling to find their purpose, in their coaching business?
Oh, I would say take a moment. It can feel very overwhelming, okay? But you decided to go down this road for a reason, right? There is purpose here. And I know it can feel like on this online space, everybody is winning because I don't know for what reason. We only show the highlights online.
Yes, yes,
Everybody is having a 5K day or a 5K
right.
month. I made 6 figures. I made 7 figures. Oh my gosh, girl. I'm like, where are all you people hanging out? I want to have these moments. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do well, but like, guys, when I read my feed, I'm like, should I be doing more? Because it gives you this inferiority thing, like, I'm not doing enough. And let me tell you something. You started this business or you started this journey with a purpose in mind, with a why in mind. And your why looks very different to what other people are posting. I can tell you now, because
hmm
I know my why is not to have $1 million. I've never aspired to that. But I know that there are people who want that. For me, I have a number in mind, and I also want to have freedom and time to enjoy that number. Some people make the mistake, they just want the number, and then there's no time to enjoy it because they have to be in their business all the time. The
hmm
way I've like set up my business is that I have time to actually be a person outside of my business. So take your time, slow and steady, don't compare yourself, and remember you chose this career for a purpose. So live in that purpose and you'll be okay.
Awesome, awesome. Carol, this has been some great advice. And, we could cover a whole lot more, but I want you just to begin to share with the listeners the
Sure.
best way that they could get in touch with you so that if they have more questions, if they want to utilize your services, what is the best way they can get in contact with you?
So on all social medias, I am just Carol Kabaale. It's like you see it on the screen, just my name and surname. My website is mynameandsurname.com. It's going to be in the show notes. Go have a look at it. But if you found this interesting and you're like thinking, oh, maybe I want to run ads, maybe it's something I want to dip my toes in, don't go run to YouTube University just yet. Okay, don't run just yet. Okay. I want you to please take my Facebook ads quiz. It's going to take 2 minutes. And it's going to determine if you should be running ads. Now, after you take that quiz, it will let you know, are you ready for ads? Are you not? Should you be working with someone like me? Do you need to DIY? It will give you all that information. And I'm sure the link is going to be in the show notes. So I can't wait to see your results.
Yeah, so listeners, make sure to check Carol out and go and see if you guys are a great fit. That way you can be able to boost your business, boost your coaching business to see the success that you desire. It is not a speedy, sometimes it could be speedy, sometimes it cannot, but the key is what she was saying. You have to be willing to go through the process and be patient to get the results that you desire to get. And so she's able to walk you through that, her and her team. And we will also have that in our show notes so that you'll be able to go to her quickly and to be able to find out more from her. So thank you, Carol, for being a part of the podcast today.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Honestly, I had a great time.
Yes, it's been awesome. And so listeners, please go by and check her out so that you can upscale your business and be the best in your business that you can be. And until next time, have a wonderfully blessed day. God bless and bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Tasty Tidbits. If you're enjoying the show, feel free to subscribe, rate, and share with your friends. To learn more about Dr. Tiffany, check her out on Linktree at dr.tiffanywatkins or visit her website, iridescencebytiffany.com. Until next time, stay blessed.